Hey, with you Evening Story Channel, I post new interesting stories every day. Subscribe and click the bell to not miss it.
Lily, a girl of 16 years old, came to visit her friend and neighbor Ethan, who lived one floor below. As it happened, they had known each other since childhood on serious occasions. They never quarreled, and all problems were solved together. For a period of time, they were considered brother and sister. But in the guise, everything turned out to be much more serious. Many times, young people helped each other out, so there was nothing strange about the girl's visit, except that her request to her friend was somewhat unexpected. Ethan, well, some relatives came to visit us. Well, they're harassing me like this. They insult me as a servant for themselves. They found in my person, but my parents don't give a shit. Especially my mom. You're the smart one. So please tell me how to escort them carefully, so as not to arouse suspicion from them or my parents. Let's think about it, Lily. I won't let anyone hurt you, replied the young man to his friend. The story went like this. The apartment where Lily lived was practically inherited by her mother, but whether they got it mixed up in the documents or whether some share belonged to her stepmother. But the stepmother herself rarely bothered the family, and then suddenly out of the blue, she put everyone in front of the fact. Say she comes with her cohabitant, as well as her son as a goofball-like and in the regional center, in which she received an apartment and lived in the family, whether or need to be treated. Well, and there are other things here. Maybe this son will get somewhere, find a job, or at least meet a girl from a decent family. Taking into account the fact that the apartment was 3-roomed, the dear guests at first wanted to take 2 rooms for their stay. But both Lily and her father Anthony resented this arrangement. They had to squeeze the 3 of them into 1 room. The biggest one, of course, with a TV. Although now almost everyone has tablets, iPhones, smartphones, and so on. As it turned out, the guests had no special upbringing. And of course, they took everything for granted. It was not only a question of them cooking something for themselves when the owners were at work, but also of washing the dishes afterwards. And they were in no hurry to buy food for the house. And clearly accustomed to freebies and constantly nagged, making her an inappropriate remark. And even the son of Liliana's stepmother and mother sometimes allowed himself to open his mouth and demand something. Like, bring it, bring it, bring it. It was easier with this young man, though. Ethan met him once in the entryway and asked him to behave culturally and as delicately as possible. He's a guest, so no one owes him anything. Ethan also advised the unknown guest to apologize to Lily, but he didn't heed the advice. But Lily did not apologize at all and asked his parents to leave soon on any pretext. It was good for them. Greedy by nature, they enjoyed freebies and rested to the fullest. And then Ethan, the son of a well-known lawyer in the city, behaved as his father had taught him. Several times he followed a couple of guests. They'd wandered around stores, markets, entertainment centers. And not once did the young man notice that they went to any hospital, clinic, or any other medical facility. All this information Ethan had given to Lily. Listen, girlfriend. He turned to the girl. Yes, it looks like you are really being cheated. And if, of course, to heel and to store all day long is the same thing. My dad's really good to you. I have an idea. I'm gonna ask him to set up some kind of ID check with the police. Like they're looking for someone from a recent crime. Maybe these new relatives of yours will run away. Oh, I don't know, Ethan, but I'm exhausted. Usually I'm always so steady, and here I'm always snapping, refusing, and serving guests to hell, Lily replied with a sigh. There are a few other ideas, the young man said, like pretending you flooded us. But your relatives don't know about our friendship or anything. They've seen my family by sight. They've never met my family. Do you think it'll work? Maybe it's worth a try. The girl hesitated. But remember, we can only shoot once. Is that a good lie? Then let's combine all these ideas into one. Something will probably work. Ethan answered her decisively. Lily had developed a certain line of behavior towards the guests. She didn't openly threaten, she didn't threaten. And she didn't make contact first. But to any remark, especially demands, she immediately responded and immediately put everyone in their place. It looked like this. Lily, what are we having for dinner tonight? Mom's stepmother asked irritably. I don't know what you're having for dinner. I don't want to cook for you. I don't want to put up with your nagging, and I'm not hired to serve you. As for my dinner, it's not your concern. The Wendy girl sat down hard. What was the stepmother's name? Lily. And why didn't you wash the dishes? Where are our clean plates, spoons, forks, and cups? Wendy Williams' husband asked. The dishes are not washed, but because none of you have washed them, clean plates, spoons, forks, and cups are blocked in my room. That, of course, is off limits to outsiders. Lily replied with a cheerful smile, and so every time and on every occasion, where the guests complained about the girl's behavior to her father. He asked them not to touch him and to sort it out themselves. They said that he was tired at work, so he could waste his health and spoil his nerves. I don't know what that's about. But Lily Nancy's mother tried to shame her daughter at first, but it was useless. Lily always had a lot of lessons and other things to do, and she also directly told her that she was not engaged in serving anyone. And if Mom wants to do it, let her do it herself. As a result, Nadezhda Petrovna had to listen to lectures from her stepmother Wendy about the fact that she brought up her daughter wrongly and that she did not know how to bring up her daughter at all. She tried to take it out on her husband, and he once could not stand it, and said that if one more such attempt on the part of relatives to ruin his evening, he spends a kick in the ass. In the meantime, Ethan talked to his dad and was told everything in detail by the experienced Benjamin, a lawyer with a decent track record. He suggested the following. Come on, son, invite my future daughter-in-law over here. The three of us can have a council of war. See if Anthony will openly side with us, and then we'll win. After Ethan called his friend, she quickly came to the apartment below, and a serious conversation took place, which resulted in a complete and unconditional victory. Well, come on in, bride, don't be shy. You know I'm good to you. I'm very happy about your friendship with Bright, 'cause he's such a dork, she giggled. His daddy, Audie daddy, the son was not in debt, and all three of them laughed merrily. So children, we have a specific task to put these uninvited guests out. Benjamin began his speech with a wave of his hand, showing Ethan that there was no need to take offense at the word children, that jokes were aside, because a very serious conversation had begun. On the one hand, we have a team of 3 against us, and your Lily parents are still in question. But on the other hand, there is probably no unity in this very team, as everyone there is pulling the blanket over themselves. They are all united by their love for freebies and the opportunity to live beautifully in their own pleasure. At your expense? And Anthony, if everything is explained to him correctly, will immediately switch from neutrality to our side. It's obvious. Yeah, Lily went to her friend's father. My dad's not thrilled about these guests. But the thing is that the apartment we live in belongs to my mom, but not all of it belongs to this same busy Wendy Alexandrovna. If I understand the situation correctly. No, there's something wrong here, my dear girl. Do I smell a scam? Says Benjamin. It's very possible that your mother's been duped. We'll have to check this whole thing out. Do you know where the deed to the apartment is? All the documents are in a box, which after the arrival of these so-called guests moved to my room, because only my room is locked. So bring me those documents, child. I'll take care of them, Benjamin suggested. Dad, will you let me speak? Ethan asked his father. Of course, son. You and I have seen a lot of war movies. You know very well that in intelligence everyone has a say in the meeting. I know, Dad, I know. I'm thinking you know what. You were absolutely right when you said it's not a team against us. It's a bunch of guys. Well, one of them we can easily isolate. I even know the rooms, Lily grinned. The young Dumpuses were given a lecture about it. And this subject is very suggestible, so it can be easily explained to him that his presence in your apartment and in your life in general is highly undesirable. He didn't bother you after I talked to him. Ethan clarified. You're right. He's avoiding me now. He won't talk to me or even say hello, she said thoughtfully. That's exactly what you're worried about. The guy who was supported by Benjamin winked lightly. If you friends get rid of this young man, it is quite possible that his spoiled mother has rushed after him, said the lawyer. But everything must be done carefully, without threats, without insults, and without the slightest manhandling. Like, show him some sympathy. They've taken Belenki to who knows where. They want something from him. Or maybe he wants to do something of his own, and he's forced to sleep in the same room with 2 adults. Maybe he wants to leave, but that would only be the first action. And the second action will be that I will seriously study the documents on the apartment. which belongs, as you personally said, not fully. It's not even clear why to your mom. And if it turns out that Nancy is the sole owner of the apartment in question, then she herself and I are sure of it. To kick those, how shall I put it, easy relatives out the door makes sense, but that's not all. Did you do the right thing, son, setting up a stakeout? The argument that no treatment is out of the question. Sooner or later, it's gonna work on your mama Lily, and I can easily set up a background check with the police. Just not the fact that it will help scare, but it may not lead to our goal. So let's figure out how to make this a better flood. Dad, you're a good boy. Not every father is supportive of his children, rejoiced Ethan. But let me get one thing straight. Lily, these relatives may not believe you, so we need to talk to Uncle Anthony carefully. It's better you do it, not me. Or Lily? I agree. Yeah, I agree. And we'll figure out a time when Nancy will be away. Anthony arrives at the alarm, makes a concerned face, comes in, then comes home and confirms the flood. And Lily's not supposed to be home at that time. We'll have Lily to sit with us, really. The girl smiled. She'd almost believed that everything was going to be all right. It was not for nothing that Benjamin considered himself a good lawyer. He could think out all the details and speak more than convincingly. Lily went home. There was no one there, as the relatives were out enjoying life. Having taken the necessary documents, the girl went down to the floor below again and photographed all the necessary papers. Benjamin let the girl go and went to the notary. As it turned out, and it turned out later, Nadezhda Petrovna had been seriously duped. She believed it and did not check Wendy's words, especially since she said that she did not claim the apartment but would only come sometimes. But words with words and documents say that Nancy is by will the sole owner of a 2-bedroom apartment in a good neighborhood and in the regional center. And what else is needed? Live and be happy. The apartment is renovated, paid for by Anthony himself. If, God forbid, it comes to divorce, Anthony will claim a share of the apartment. The lawyer was calculating the options. Benjamin met a couple at the door of his apartment building. This time, Anthony and Nancy were coming home together. It coincided with their work schedule, which was very rare. Why aren't you neighbors stopping by? Benjamin asked. Are you offended? You can drop by, Anthony muttered in reply. They'd brought some relatives with them. Now we can't get rid of them. Why don't you say something? Honey, hope you agree. Yes, I do. I agree, said Nancy. I was sick of that Galka long ago when we lived together. But I can't just kick them out. I mean, she owns a minimal portion of the apartment. Lily's gone wild. She lashes out at everyone, doesn't listen to anyone. And before these Hicks came here, she was the sweetest kid. You know, neighbor, take your husband under your arm and let's go to my place for a coffee and talk. I have news that will immediately lift your spirits, Petrovna, and you also rejoice, said Benjamin at home. He told him everything in detail, documented full and unconditional ownership of Nadezhda Petrovna's real estate. Anthony thought about it, said that she was ready to support any cases related to the eviction of uninvited guests. Otherwise, the family almost collapsed. While the neighbors were talking among themselves, Ethan met a guest on the street and explained everything to him in a popular way. His tone was not aggressive, but rather friendly. And gradually, Ethan managed to convince his interlocutor that he would be much better off at home. When Ethan returned home, he told his parents that he was fed up with everything here, so they did as they pleased, and he was leaving today. Wendy Alexandrovna was greatly surprised. Her son had never shown independence and special disobedience, not counting household trifles, and here he had become a man. While she thought and wondered, the young man quickly packed up and went home. And no sooner had she discussed this news with her drunken spouse as the doorbell rang. "Who is there?" asked the woman. "Open up immediately. You're flooding us." And then Wendy remembered that her son had gone into the bathroom before he left and might not have turned off the water. So the couple packed up all their things, and at the door, Wendy said to Benjamin standing there, "And we, guests and hosts, should be here any minute." Lily blocked their way at the elevator. "Where are you going with your things? We're leaving. We have to." "You didn't steal anything. Don't be a childish little brat who doesn't talk back to her elders. I want my apartment keys back immediately. We're looking for a conversation." Benjamin and his son and Hope and her husband Anthony. It caused a flood. "Are you going to pay for the repairs?" "We'll file a lawsuit," Anthony told the guests, and then added, "Return the keys immediately so you don't set foot in our apartment. We'll meet you in court." Nancy showed the documents for the apartment and confirmed her husband's words. The guests had no doubts about the truthfulness of the owner's words. They called and wanted to get off the hook. It never occurred to them that they were being scammed like suckers. In the end, they agreed on a small sum of money, which Wendy had to pay right away. And this sum turned out to be only a small compensation for the moral damage caused. But the owners and their neighbors felt very good. The Anthony family never spoke to these relatives again.